Hey everyone, it's Lance from Cinematic Galaxy here, and today I'm here to do a review of a little film called The Lion King. That's right, I still have my old VHS copy from way back in the 90s. First off, I just want to let you guys know, if you're like the one person who's not seen this film, don't watch this review. Please just shut it off and go watch the movie as soon as you can. And try to watch the original version of the film, not the one that has that crappy song in it, Morning Report. Funny story, see, this movie came out in 1994, so I was just a year old, and we probably got it on VHS like not long after that, but I actually used to be scared. That's right, scared to watch The Lion King because of the hyenas in it. I don't think I ever watched it all the way through until I was actually 5 years old, and that's the earliest I can really remember actually watching it all the way through. And when I did, I was thinking, I've been missing out on this movie the whole time. Like, the movie, wow, The Lion King is literally my childhood, my early childhood. The Lion King is the definitive film for me growing up. I mean, there are so many other classic Disney films and stuff that I loved growing up, but The Lion King was #1 as a kid for me. It wasn't my #1 Disney movie, it was my #1 movie. You know, I loved it more than anything. And I must have watched this thing a gazillion times, and it's amazing because this tape still shows very well. I must have watched this like over hundreds of times, but the tape works just fine, and it still looks great for an old VHS. The animation in this film is gorgeous. It is absolutely spectacular, and you know that's for any time. This animation will look great today. I mean, the animation in this film is mind-blowing. All the colors, the fluidity. You know, you feel the weight of these characters and of the environments, and you know, it's just beautiful. There's not a single ugly part of this film. Like most Disney films, one thing that a lot of people look for is the songs and, you know, the musical numbers. And this movie does have quite a few good ones. It has obviously Hakuna Matata, that's famous, and that was a childhood favorite of mine growing up. Hakuna Matata, dun-dun-dun, what a wonderful phrase. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Hakuna Matata, ain't no passing grace. It means no worries for the rest of your days. Oh man, no. When I had as high of a voice as Simba did, I used to try to sing on exactly the same notes as he did when he said, "It means no worries." And then the scene where they're walking across a log, for some reason I used to love that scene. I still do, but I loved it so much as a kid. I used to rewind it all the time where they're doing their heads like this, and you're seeing Simba growing up. I used to love that scene for some reason. I have no idea why. It has Be Prepared, another thing I love. It's the villainous song in the film. A lot of other songs. My favorite songs, though, in this film are Circle of Life and Can You Feel the Love Tonight by Elton John. I just feel like they're just so beautiful. They just really capture the majesty of this film. What I did not appreciate as much as a kid, though, that I noticed so much when I watch the film now, though, is the score. The score of this movie is incredible. I mean, it's by Hans Zimmer, and it's one of the best movie scores in history, in my opinion. I love the orchestrated score. I mean, it is beautiful. So many great themes. You know, it can be heartwarming and moving. You know, it can be action-packed and intense, and you know, it feels like a Lord of the Rings film sometimes. I mean, the score of this film is amazing, and then it can be so delicate and awe-inspiring, and wow. I mean, all of these things work so well together to make this such a great film, but the thing that really hooks me to it is the story. And that's actually what's always hooked me to it. Even as a kid, I just knew that this was something above your average children's film. And I don't even like to consider this a children's film because I feel like films that are this enjoyable for adults as well as kids, they're more like family movies, I would say. So I don't even call this a kid's film. The stampede scene is amazing. the direction, and that's right, I said direction, for an animated film is superb. You know, I mean, this is some of the greatest direction I've ever seen in that one scene. The whole stampede chase, when Simba, he sees the little rocks, you know, rattling on the ground, and then he just looks up, and you see all those wildebeest coming down, and the way the camera just pans in on his face, and you see the fear. I mean, that is easily some of the best filmmaking I've ever seen right there. The direction of that scene is so good, and it's perfectly paced and perfectly done. Alright, basically, everyone knows that Mufasa dies in this film. Simba's father, Mufasa. And I remember seeing that scene the first time way back in probably 1998. That's the first time I can ever remember watching that. And it was completely unexpected. I seriously had no idea that was going to happen. And I just remember looking, you know, I remember seeing the whole scene, Simba coming across his father's dead body and, you know, begging him to wake up. And I was thinking, he's going to wake up. He's going to wake up, you know. He's just asleep. And I remember he wasn't getting up. And I asked my mom about it. I said, Mom, why isn't he getting up? He's going to get up, right? And when she said, when she realized and told me, no, he's not going to get up, the tears just started flowing down my face. Seriously, I remember that I started crying unbelievably watching that scene, and I realized that he wasn't going to get up. I didn't know how to take it. Thinking about it, I really am almost completely sure that Mufasa's death was the first time I was ever even aware of death. Seriously, when I think back on it, I was 5 years old, and I cannot remember a time before that where I actually thought about people dying, where I knew about death. I think The Lion King was the film that introduced me to the concept of death. Seriously. And it's amazing when I think about that a film like this could explain such a complex subject matter to me. You know, a 5-year-old kid. Basically, throughout this film, Simba's journey is, you're right there with that character. And again, one of the reasons that I was so sad during Mufasa's death is because I was a little kid like Simba. And the reason I started crying is because what if that was my dad? What if that was my dad lying there? And to make matters worse, he was murdered. He was murdered by Scar, you know. I don't even want to talk about Scar right now. Ugh. Hate him. Actually, the funny thing is, I really like Scar as a villain, but you just want to tear his guts out when you watch that scene and so many other scenes in the film. You realize how much of a dirtbag this guy really is. You follow Simba throughout the film, and you see him grow up, and he comes across these two slackers, you know, that really don't care about anything, and that's Timon and Pumbaa. And easily one of the most classic duos in film right there. My personal favorite out of the two is Pumbaa, but both of them have to bounce off each other. You know, they both work so well together, and they're hilarious in this film. And they basically teach Simba, all right, you know, you just hang with us and forget all your worries and just live life and enjoy yourself all the time. The emotional conflict of this film is it really starts when Nala comes back in, Simba's childhood friend, and she tells him what's been happening at Pride Rock, you know, where Simba's home, and you know, Scar's the new king, and he's just, you know, the hyenas have eaten everything, and he's doing a horrible job. And basically, Simba is a rightful king. Simba was meant to be king after Mufasa wasn't king anymore. It was supposed to be Simba. And since Mufasa was dead, Simba was supposed to become king. But Scar told Simba to run away because Scar wanted to be king for himself. And he led everyone to believe that Simba was dead. I think that's a story all of us can relate to. The fact that when you have a responsibility, sometimes there's always something that's usually trying to keep you from accepting that responsibility. And sometimes it is emotional, you know, the pain that you've dealt with in your life that keeps you from accepting that responsibility. Does that make any sense? You know, I feel like that's something very relatable that any of us can relate to. Seeing Simba overcome that and truly take his place by Pride Rock is truly an incredible sight to see, and it's what makes him my favorite character in the movie, and it's what makes me love this movie so much. This movie has an emotional hook that no other Disney film has, and I'm not saying, I mean, a lot of other Disney films are emotional, and they deal with things like death and or being separated from your parents and all that, but this one deals with them in a fashion that's very unusual for even a Disney film. It just feels so, you know, you usually find in a Disney film somebody's an orphan or somebody's you know, their parent, you know, Bambi's mother got shot and all that stuff, but I don't know, it's just handled differently in this film. You really see Simba having to overcome that. Now, other than Mufasa's death, the other scene that really gets to me emotionally in this film is the scene where Rafiki basically, you know, he tells Simba, oh, he knows his father, he's messing with him, and basically Simba, he leads Simba through this woods, you know, and Simba comes to this lake, and he tells him, you know, look in there and you will see your father. I know those aren't the exact words, but Simba looks in and he's like, that's just my reflection. And then Rafiki tells him, no, look closer. You see, he lives in you. And Simba looks down and he does see his father in him. And then he looks up at the sky. The clouds are all changing. And it forms into Mufasa, basically talking to him from the heavens. And oh my God, if I don't cry at that scene, it's so... The music just makes you want to cry, and that's his dead father talking to him about how he's forgotten who he is, and he needs to take his place at Pride Rock. I'm just getting emotional talking about this scene. Just imagine if it was in front of me right now and I was watching it. The ending to this film is awe-inspiring. It is easily one of my favorite movie endings of all time. One of my favorite movie scenes of all time. The sight of Simba ascending Pride Rock, and you know, everyone's looking up at him, and you hear that beautiful, beautiful, majestic score by Hans Zimmer, the da 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 da. It's, oh my God, you just have to see that scene, the animation, just the moment, you know, everyone's looking up at him with shock, and just seeing him take his place as a king of Pride Rock, and Mufasa up in the sky saying, remember. Oh, it just gives me so many chills. And then the scene afterwards with Simba on Pride Rock with Nala, Timon, Pumbaa, Rafiki, and basically they're having the ceremony, and the reprise of Circle of Life is playing, and you just have one of the best scenes of film history right there. And I know I'm gushing, but it's truly so well done, and it's amazing. And the Pride Rock, man, I'm having a hard time talking here. I'm too excited.